welcome to the channel, all of you. Today in this session, we are going to have a look at SPGen form filling. There's a lot of queries coming in regarding SPGen, and we have already instructed you to hold on with the form. So in this session, what we will do is we'll take you through the SPGen form, look at the relevant areas in the form. We'll also discuss a bit about what all information that you can gather before even you start off filling up this form, and then also understand what are the various aspects of the form where you need to spend a bit of time and understand, introspect, and then come out with your answers. Okay, so I'm going to get into this. This is not a full hand-holding session on what to write exactly on the form, but to give you some guideline to follow while you're filling up that form. Okay, having said this, this particular form is a difficult form, so let's not take anything as granted, because whatever you're going to write in this form is going to be really looked at very closely by the admission committee. So first and foremost, I had already sent you all a profile evaluation link. And this link is, although it's written now, it's open, but we have closed this link now. But if anybody wants his or her profile evaluation to be still done and understand whether you should be really applying for SPGen, please send me an email and I will make sure that this link is sent to you. Now, the problem with this is I will not be able to respond within 24 hours or something like that, because we have already kept this open for a long time. I've already responded to more than 500 students. So I don't want now to, people calling me and asking me to hurry up and I want to fill up the form and all that. This I can do if I have time in hand, because all of you know that NMAT is on 4th and then we have CAT coming up on 20th, and we are all really packed. So if we find time and if we can find the time to look at your query, we'll definitely answer. Otherwise, you'll have to take a call on your own, because we've already opened up this evaluation form for more than a month's time now, right? So all of you who have got a reply from me, I'll send about 500 replies. As I said, we have asked about 990 people to apply for the SPGen. So if you have already got the reply and you've been asked not to apply, please don't apply, because we feel that your profile will not make it to the final shortlist. But if you think that you have a good chance and we have also advised you to apply for it, please go ahead and apply. But before all this, I would like you to have a look at this, the batch profile PDF of the current batch. That is the second year batch right now, which is the 2019-21 batch. I have already put up at the description of this video. Please go and have a look at that batch profile. You will understand why we have evaluated you and why we have asked some of you not to apply and some of you to apply for a specific area. So that batch profile is there. Every single student's detail is given there, and you can actually go and read through. And I think you should do that research. You'll understand what SPGen is all about, what kind of profiles get in, and it becomes really clear for you whether, or it'll make you more confident in terms of applying, or it'll give you a clear-cut idea as why you should not be applying, right, for a particular function. Second stage of SPGen has a group interview process. So if you actually apply to the wrong function and still get a call, you'll find it really difficult to actually crack that round, because you'll be sitting with a lot of people. Let's say you applied for finance with no finance background, but because just your academics is good, you've been called for an interview. Then what will happen is, in the interview room, you may be sitting with 2 other CAs out there, and that 2 rank holders or BCom university rank holders, and you will have no chance whatsoever to get through that group interview process. So make sure that you have applied with a lot of thought behind it. Understand that that's a group interview process in the second stage, and it's not easy because there are other guys going to sit there. Others' profile will also matter when you're sitting through that interview process. It's a premium B school, so there's going to be a lot of tough competition. So you can't take it for granted. As I said before as well, you need to be sure of your application. You should be sure what you're going to fill in out there. And you have to be very, very spot on when you're actually looking at the application, filling it up. There is word limits to it. So make sure whatever you're writing, you are writing with a lot of thought behind what you want to portray in that form. Okay, so make sure that you spend a lot of time on it. Profile-based and score-based shortlist. This is the same form for both. So a lot of people ask me, sir, if it's score-based, can I apply later? No, once and for all. SPGen has only one form which will come out right now. It will not open after CAT. Whether you are going to apply for profile-based or score-based, this is the form. Okay, so if you don't apply it by 24th of November or whatever is the last date for the form, you are not going to make it. And this year, you're not going to get a call from SPGen. So as I said, the form matters. Ask doubts in the comment section and we'll be happy to reply to your comments, but no other comments will be entertained once we have completed this particular video because all the doubts we have already tackled. Whatever doubts you have, please put in the comments, and 24 hours once we will come and answer those comments. So once again, profile-based call goes at 85 percentile in CAT, sectionals of 75 in each section, score-based call expected more than 95, nothing less than that. And this year, XAT is not being considered, so it's going to be only CAT and GMAT. So GMAT profile-based calls cutoff typically is 650, and normally your score-based cutoffs come above 700. So if you have 650 plus and your profile is really good, there's going to be a good chance that you'll be called for an interview. And if it's 700 plus, then you will also stand a good chance if you have to get a score-based call. Now, your profile-based calls will be out by December, end of December normally, and score-based calls will be out after the CAT score is out. So that's how it goes. So that's about in just what this SP Gen form and form filling is all about. Okay, let's get into the form. Now, see, a lot of people ask me questions like, is it worth applying for SP Gen? Some people told me SP Gen is a private college, so should I apply? There were people going to the extent of asking me as to, you know, if I'm wanting to only go through a government college, then should I even apply for this? I would say if you're looking at a government college and you are gunning for any college lower than ABC, and if you're not applying for SP Gen, then you're actually losing an opportunity, because if you look at here, 26.36 is the average salary for SP Gen. The only other colleges which will beat this is probably FMS, IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, and IIM Ahmedabad. So this is at par with all the other colleges. ABCL is the league where SP Gen is. So, you know, not even L, ABC, XLRI, SP Gen, FMS comes in the same league. So if you are looking at a good college and you want to, you know, crack into a top B school in India, it is SP Gen. SP Gen is there in the QS ranking this year in the top 100 as well. So it's a sought after college, amazing profile. So it will sound really silly asking, you know, whether it's worth applying for SP Gen. So you should ask whether you are worth SP Gen is what, you know, SP Gen is all about. SP Gen is a premium college. Okay. So tough competition out there. Last date, application closes on 27th November, right? So you need to fill this up. Don't wait till the last moment, because it's a tedious form. So spend your time before, finish it off by 15th of November, close the form, but you don't sit and work on this in the last moment. Now, this is how the form looks like after you have enrolled with your email ID and password, and then you get the link, and then you click on that and you get into the apply now button. Click on that and you get into the form. Now, see, this form has got 8 parts. You have the personal details, address details, which I'm not even going to look at. Okay. Then you have the specialization, academic detail, and then you also have work experience, competitive exam detail, a declaration form, and the payment form. Now, the main part of this entire video is to look at what all is there in this area, what all is there here that you need to be careful about, and what is crucial in this, and just to have a quick look at the competitive exam details as well. Okay, so that's what I'll be doing while we go through this entire session. Now, if you don't know what to fill in some of these areas which are there as short, very short 50-word essays or some 50-word, you know, write-ups or something like that, I would suggest you to introspect, research, write, rewrite, and figure out. If you think that you have no idea what to fill up at all, don't fill the form, because if you then fill the form with some something which doesn't even, you know, is something that you are not even sure of, how will you even justify that in the interview? So that's something that I keep telling students, that if you can't fill up a form, then it's better not to fill it up. Otherwise, you spend your time in introspecting, doing a lot of research, writing and rewriting what you want to do, and, you know, come out and fill up a nice looking form, so that, you know, you're sure of what you want to write in that and project yourself as in front of the interviewer. Now, the first and foremost part of the form is a specialization area, and in the specialization preferences, there is specialization 1 and specialization 2. Now, there's a doubt a lot of people have asked me already, sir, should I apply for both specialization 1 and specialization 2? Not required. If you can apply for just one, that's enough. In fact, in SPGen, we have seen that most of the time they don't even look at the specialization too unless and until you have something really good in that. Okay. So whatever is the closest alignment of your profile, pick that up. You have finance, you have information management, marketing, and operations. In IM and operations, we have seen that most of the time students who get shortlisted are people with more than 18 months of experience. A good chance will happen after 24 months of experience with a good profile. Whereas in the area of marketing and finance, you will see a lot of freshers being picked up. Finance, especially if you have a finance background, a BCom or something closely related to finance, or something like an FRM or a CA or something like that that you have done, or otherwise, if you have nothing but you have a great profile, I would suggest you to apply for marketing, because a lot of people with good profiles as freshers do land up with marketing calls. Okay, so that's precisely why when we looked at and evaluated your profiles, we asked you to apply for a certain area, right? If you have two of the areas where both are very strongly aligned functions for you, in terms of, let's say you have you're a BCom student but then have worked after that for about 3 years in marketing, then you can probably put marketing as your first choice and finance as your second choice if you have done really well in your BCom finance area as well. Or let's say if you're a student who has done extremely well in the area of information management, let's say 3.5, 4 years of experience, and then you want to apply for SPGen, then you're going to probably look at only information management as your single choice, because your profile is completely aligned to that, right? So look, see as to whether you want to apply for both or apply for one. Just like that, applying for the second one is of no use. So make sure that whatever you're applying for, you have reasons to apply for, and that's what they've asked here. So either your graduation is related to that area, or you have a relevant work experience. Work experience means work experience after graduation, and or you have some kind of specialized courses that you have chosen in that area, and or you have some special interest. Now see, if you're only choosing special interest, then this area pops up and you need to justify what is that special interest. So it's not easy task at all. So you need to be very sure of what you're filling up here. Now see, if you have some specialized courses chosen in that area, you could have done some courses on online, or probably you have taken some courses that electives in your college, and done really well in those courses. So any of those areas you can actually pick up to actually showcase that you have a connect to that particular area. It also, so choose it wisely. Make sure that you have a good chance. So a lot of people come back and tell me, sir, I'm not interested in information management as my first choice. Should I apply for marketing? If you have a good chance in information management, at least in SPGen, apply for that. For all the other colleges, go for marketing. But then at least for SPGen, where there is a profile alignment which comes to play, and if you have a good alignment, why would you want to miss that out? Because if you apply for anything else, you'll not get a call anyway. Okay, so they're very sure on that. So make sure that you have chosen wisely. Here it says, if you are shortlisted based on your profile, are you willing to appear for an early interview in January 21? If you think you are going to be ready by January 21 so typically the interviews happen between 15th to 21st of January. So if you think you can get prepared by then, and if you've chosen something like finance and you can read all the finance and finance courses, whatever you have done, you can brush that up and go by that time, then you can take it up. Otherwise, if you say no, there is no problem. You can go in the month of February for the interview. So there is no, so don't get back to us and ask, sir, if I don't choose this, will I be, rejected or nothing? You're not going to be rejected. They're asking you for a preference. So you can say your preferred time is January, or your preferred time is not January. So whichever way you want to pick it, you can pick it up. Now see, I have attached the batch profile of the students of 2019-21. Okay, into the description area. Please go through this. You can read through their profiles. You can see their education background. You can see their experience, their total experience in months, their academic awards, medals, extracurricular. You will get an idea of what chance you have into getting into these colleges. Okay, so into this college. So the profile of every single student is there, branch wise, function wise. So this I put up for finance function. It's a PDF file. Download, go through it, spend at least that much time to understand what this college is all about, right? And you're going to get a lot of insights into the college, and you'll also have a confidence where your short profile will get shortlisted. Now comes the academic area. In the academic area, there are this instructions given: 10th, 12th grade exams aggregate of all subject scores. So please don't call me for this again. Okay. You have all the other details mentioned here and you need to read this. Please read and then fill up. I'm not going to get into this. Pretty much simple form it is. I'm not going to get into this because there is nothing much in this. You need to fill up your college name, university and all that, and your CGPA or percentages, whatever is asked for. But what we have here after the academic area is, do you have an academic break? So if you have any academic break, mention that. This is not going to be a deterrent anyway. So this is not going to get you some rejection or something like that. But if you have, they want to know, what this break is all about. It says the question is pertaining to the break between 10th grade and graduation. You can choose no if you have completed your graduation without a break in between. You can also use the field to highlight unavailability of graduation marks due to delay in exams or results. So please use this as a part to let them know why that break is there. This is just meant for them to understand why that break, why have you not completed your course in so after 10th, why have it taken more than 5 or 6 years to complete your course? If you have any post-graduation, mention that here. If you have any other professional qualification, mention that here. You can even add more there. And if you have any important certification, don't put some small, free certifications and all that you've done. This is saying important certification. So any big certificate that you feel are significant enough, you can put it here, write about it. 0 to 50 words are given, and this should be your academic area that you can project, academic details that you can project in the form. Then comes your work experience and achievements. Very crucial area. Right? And it says work experience includes only paid full-time work after completion of graduation, and says articleship, apprenticeship, internship, etc., which form an integral part of a degree requirement, are not considered as work experience. Please provide details for the last 2 jobs only. So last 2 jobs only, right? And it talks about achievements and versatility. It says utilize this condition to highlight both your academic achievements in school, college, university, as well as the achievements outside academics related to your career, other interests such as sports, creative writing, painting, dancing, social service, etc. Now see here, you can put your internships. If it's a very, very good internship, don't put lousy internships there. It's of no use. Put research internships wherever you can. Papers published and all that can be put here. Okay, so that can come here. And this area is to showcase your versatility, anything apart from academics that you have done. So you can put that in this particular area. So let's get in and have a look at this. So if you choose, you have work experience, then this form pops up. And in this, you have the name of the organization, industry, function, designation, CTC. Is this your current job, your start date, end date, and role. So know your role really well. Don't write anything just like that. What is your role in the organization is what it's asked for. So please look at your designation and your KRA after that. Read through the KRA and define your roles. A lot of times we have seen that people don't even know what role they are performing. So, please put up the specific role that you're performing in the organization. If you have more work experience, please add, and the total work experience comes here. As we have mentioned earlier, also in the instruction, only previous two needs to be put here. Okay, previous 2 work experiences. Now comes the achievements area. In the achievements area, first of all, it's about academic achievement. So you have an award, any institution granting that award, the year which you got the award, and your award position level, and you can describe that award here and mention that there. So if you go here, it says, this award or position has got either first, second, third, or you can even put none if there was no award as such in that. And when you're talking about the level, you can say whether it's a college level, school level, university level, international, national, or state level. Now see, if your college has come out and said that it's an international event or a national event, that doesn't mean it's an international event. International event means it has been something which has been done not by your college but outside by some other organization where international level participation was there. Okay, so be very careful. Don't just like that call everything as national. Your university festivals, don't call it as a national festival and all that. That's a university festival, whatever your college may want to call it. Okay, so make sure that you are very clear on what you are putting here. What matters here is the merit scores in 10th 12th graduation, any kind of scholarships, best outgoing student, or any such kind of awards. You can even put patents if you have, but then that will come as none in this as well. You can even write about a paper published or a research internship if it is a big research internship. Okay, otherwise no, right? Just don't put just like that some internship that you did in some company and all that. It's of no use. Okay, so please don't just like that fill this up. It will be a cause for rejection also. Then comes versatility. So it says, mention significant interest in diverse areas such as sports, creative writing, painting, dancing, social service, etc., including maximum of 5 activities. So you can put more here and fill it up. So you can name the activity. So let's say if you have been performing in dramatics, so you can put dramatics and say, so what are the interest level? So you have a high interest level if you have been performing continuously for a long period of time in something. Let's say you have been acting in a lot of dramas, you take part in stage competitions, you go out and do a lot of events, you're part of a troupe, then your interest is high. So if you have done something in your school level and you have not done anything after that, don't put it as high because it'll be low. Okay. And if you just like that mark anything out here, it is of no use. They look at how realistic you are when you are actually filling this up. So one of the criteria when you look at versatility is, are you able to judge your level under which you are putting some of these things is something which matters to SPGen when they're looking at your form. So if you have done something of interest, of a low interest, put it as low interest. If you put it as high, your form will get rejected just like that. Okay, so don't please mark it like that. If you have got certifications, if you have done some professional training, let's say you are a pianist and you have got a Trinity level 4 or level 5 or something like that, then you can put it as intermediate. If you've got a level 7 or something like that, then you can put it as expert. So if there's any kind of certification that you've taken up in this interest, or you have been acknowledged in this interest, in this particular area, then probably you can put your proficiency as intermediate or expert. Otherwise, it will be only beginner level. Any awards that you have got in this can be mentioned here. If you have no awards, you can put it as none. And which level did you get that award in? Either national, state, university, school, college, or none. Now, as I said, let's say you have been in dramatics and you have been doing it in the national college university festival. That is college level. Okay, that's not going to be, or university level, that's not going to be state level also, that's not going to be national level also. Okay, so make sure that when you're putting something, you're sure of what you are mentioning there, because it should not look like as if you don't even know, how good your versatility is when you're looking at the activity that you're mentioning there. After you have filled this whole thing up, you can mark the overall versatility as outstanding, very good, good, average. Most students will fall in the area of good. If you have extremely good activities, let's say out of the 5 things that you mentioned, in 3 of them you've got awards, professional training or something like that, then you can put it as very good. If you want some international awards and all in multiple events, you can put it as outstanding. I have actually attached here with in the description a form of last year's student who has got converted into SPGen, 2 of them actually. So please go through that and read through so that you understand, what you, even in theirs, when you see, they've done a lot of things, but they have not marked it as outstanding or something. So you go read about it. So be very realistic. Just like that, marking it as outstanding will be a cause for rejection of your form because you're not realistic enough when you're filling up the form. Okay, be very careful when you're doing that. Then you have responsibilities shouldered. Out of this, there are 2 things given here. You have the personal responsibility and then you have the professional responsibility here. And then it asks you what is the level of responsibility that's there, high, medium, low, and that's there for professional as well. And then it describes briefly about what it is. Now, see, in a professional responsibility, it's very easy. Anything that has impacted the organization or your professional arena in a very great deal, you can mention here and mark it as high. In that case, you should be able to showcase some kind of award or some kind of savings for the company or something tremendous that you've done to put it as high. Okay, so otherwise it will remain as a medium or a low kind of a professional responsibility shouldered. In case of personal responsibility shouldered, I will just suggest you not to put up anything like, sister's marriage or sister's education or something like that. Look at some challenges that you have faced in life where you or you alone or collectively with some other set of people, you took up something on a personal level to work towards it. It can be anything. I have attached again 2 forms for you to go through and understand what it is all about. It can also be a personal initiative that you took up for some kind of an improvement. It can be any kind of personal area responsibility that you have handled in terms of a long-term challenge that you face within your family. So pick up something that is good to showcase and then put it there. Don't put something really, really common. And as I said, if you can't write this, then I think you have not introspected enough, because we all would have faced responsibilities. And please don't come back and ask me, tell me that, I don't have anything to put up here. Then I would tell you, don't fill up the form. Okay. So make sure that, you think about it and come out with something to add here. Information source is the next area. A lot of people already started messaging me, sir, should I put this as coaching center and all? You can mark it as coaching center. This is only for survey, nothing else. There is no way that your form is going to get rejected or something because of whatever. They are wanting to know how are people coming to know about SP Jain as a college, and this will help them in marketing their college better and making reaching out to more people. Now let's be very clear, whatever you're going to write in this form has to have some kind of a proof attached to it, which means any kind of academic achievement, any kind of work professional achievement, any kind of versatility where you're talking about awards and all. You need to be able to showcase something as proof when you're going for an interview process, when your document gets verified. Personal and professional responsibilities handled, you may not have to, but you may have to talk about it probably in the interview or at the time when you're going for your group interview, stage 1 or stage 2. So make sure that whatever you're writing, you know what it is. Also make sure that you know what to talk about when you go there. Also know that what all documents you need to carry to justify it, so that there is no confusion, because not having document after putting certain achievements out there can be a definite cause for rejection of your application. So that's about your SP Jain form filling. Now the last part of this form is only about the competitive exam detail. So you can pick up whichever exam that you're going to write. If it's CAT, tick the CAT, and otherwise it's GMAT. And then you need to fill up the details of the examination. So it'll just open up like this, and then you can fill up the whole thing. And when the scorecard comes, you'll get a link to upload your scorecard out there. So this is pretty much simple part of the entire form. What is more important in this form is the essay part of it. So once again, to recap, be very realistic when you're filling up the form. Make sure that you go through the description of this video and pick up those documents, the batch profile, the PDF that I've attached of previous year's form, to have a feeling of how people fill up these forms. You get an idea as to what people write in their forms. It will also give you a good idea about what to write and what not to write, and you'll also get an idea about when a person is filling up the form and getting shortlisted for the interview, why did he get shortlisted, what was there in his form because of which he has got shortlisted. So I hope this was helpful for you. As I said, mark all your queries in the comment. Once every day I'll be answering the comments, and make sure that all the questions that you're asking in the comment, you have gone through the video before asking me that, because most of the things I've covered here. And if you still have doubt, please feel free, and then I'll be happy to answer. Right? So thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel. And this is Ajay Zeener signing off.